Hello everybody, my name is Waylon, but you knew that already. Thank you for joining me with the very first episode of the Super Mario Marathon. I gotta say, I feel like this was a long time coming. After I reviewed the Super Mario Bros. Super Show back with my very first review, I always knew in my heart of hearts that I had to give the series that preceded it a proper run-through. Would you believe that on the poll, Sonic the Hedgehog almost dominated it? He led the running for about 2 weeks, but hey, +1 for the Mario fans. Obviously, he came out on top. I don't think there's anyone that could match Mario in terms of popularity. I mean, there's probably not a single person in the world who doesn't know Mario. He's just that famous. What a guy, you know? The only person I could possibly think of would maybe be Mickey Mouse, but I don't really know about that. The man has been in countless video games, has merchandise up the ass, has been a serial and a cartoon show more than once, and is still more than relevant these days. He isn't called Mr. Video for nothing, you know. Would you believe a man like Mario came from very humble beginnings? Yes, his first appearance is that of the arcade hit Donkey Kong, which originally was going to be a Popeye game, if you didn't know. So, just imagine, if Nintendo had gotten the rights to make a Popeye the Sailor game, we might not have gotten our beloved plumber. So, Mr. Shigeru Miyamoto redesigned the game and Jumpman was born, later to be renamed Mario, after his then landlord, Mario Segale. So that leads me to believe that Mario's last name is not Mario, but Segale. After he saved his girlfriend Pauline from the clutches of Cranky Kong, he went on to star in Mario Bros. Arcade along with his brother, Luigi Segale. But Mr. Miyamoto wouldn't be satisfied with just arcades. He knew the Mario Brothers had great potential, and in 1985, he helped to create a game that would define all games to come: Super Mario Bros. On the NES and Famicom. The story is very simple, even for the times. Italian-American plumbers Mario and Luigi Segale stumbled into the Mushroom Kingdom world from their home in Brooklyn and find themselves as accidental heroes as their task was saving Princess Peach Toadstool from the clutches of King Bowser Koopa. With his powerful dark magic, which is almost never touched on by the way, he sends his troops to conquer the Mushroom Kingdom and turn most of the fungus freaks that live there into brick blocks, which might have some dark implications given how you score points in this game. But I wouldn't take that too literally. It's not like he's a psychopath or anything. So Mario and Luigi have to go save the princess. And they do just that. On their way, they travel through 8 different worlds, collecting coins to snack some extra lives and meaningless points, and fight off a variety of enemies and hazards. First up on the chopping block are the standard foot soldiers of Bowser's Koopa Troop, the Goombas, which apparently are former members of the Mushroom Kingdom that were exiled? That little bit of backstory comes and goes though, so it's not that important. Goombas are easy to avoid and even easier to defeat. Just a quick jump on the head and they're roadkill. Or you can blast them with fireballs or run into them with the power of the Starman. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Other than Goombas, you have Koopa Troopas, which come in red, green, and wing flavors. Green Koopas walk to the left and sometimes to the right, but red Koopas are equipped with turnaround technology so they can avoid pits. Green Paratroopas, the ones with wings, will tend to bounce around in an arc, while red ones will hover in the air and fly around. Other than that, you have situational enemies such as Bullet Bills and Piranha Plants, both of which won't attack you if you stand really close to them. Bullet Bills come out of Bill blasters that fire in a straight line with varying speed. The Piranha Plants come out of pipes, and really, they just serve as a wall that can hurt you. They don't really do much in this game. Getting hurt in this game is nothing to worry about with the abundance of Mario's groundbreaking mechanic of power-ups. You've got Super Mushrooms that increase Mario's size and turn him into Super Mario. Fire Flowers that let him change clothes and hurl fireballs. Then you've got the exceedingly rare Starman that make you invincible for several seconds, allowing you to mow down everything that lies in your path. Although, without these power-ups, one hit and you're dead, so grab them when you can. That path is a rather straightforward one. This is a 2D side-scroller that was mind-blowing back in the 80s, since most games consisted of one screen that you could move around in inside of a limited space. But in this game, the screen scrolls, and you can run and jump all around. There's levels, power-ups, enemies to fight. It was unlike anything that came out at the time. While the game is very much easy for anyone to pick up and play, be warned that it hasn't exactly remained timeless like its legacy has. The physics in this game, while great for a first attempt, leave much to be desired. Mario carries a lot of weight and momentum with him, especially when you get a mushroom, so be careful around bottomless pits. Sometimes you might not jump even though you're sure you pressed the button, and sometimes running isn't that responsive either. Let's talk about the level structure. There's 3 levels per world, with a 4th level at the end serving as the final challenge, that castle you always head to, hoping the princess will be waiting for you in. Only to find that, of course, Toad is there instead, telling you that you're at the wrong place. In my head, I always pictured it as them moving the princess right as you arrive, so it's like Bowser's troops have to constantly be on the edge, running away castle to castle while Mario chases them down. Anyways, in level 1, it's not that crazy, mostly just a basic level.
Level 2 is usually a slightly tougher variant on level 1, though sometimes you're thrown underground and rarely you go underwater. When you're underwater, you're met with bloopers and cheep cheeps. Cheep cheeps are fish that tend to ignore you and just swim in a straight pattern, while bloopers will pursue Mario, though they can't touch him if he stands at the bottom of the seas. Level 3 is always the toughest, with jank enemy placement, scarce power-ups, and the roughest platforming. Sometimes you gotta deal with floating platforms, hilltops, and pulley systems, and sometimes you're just running away from killer fish. Don't we all? Over time, you notice the lack of level themes. Sometimes it's night, sometimes it's day. That's really it. You never really get past the green bushes and blocky roads. However, as the worlds keep going, you're introduced to more enemies, like the Lakitu, who hovers just out of jump reach at all times and throws down spinies from his little cloud. Not too hard to avoid, but for your sake, don't stop moving, otherwise you'll find yourself overwhelmed with the amount of spinies that guy hurls at you. Around World 5, you're introduced to the bane of many players' existence, the Hammer Bro. Think of them as elite Koopa Troopas that always bear those shit-eating grins at all time and an endless supply of gravity-defying hammers. They jump around and throw those fast-moving things with really annoying patterns, and they just love grouping up together, so often you'll have to fight two at once. You will panic when you're caught in one-on-one with these guys. No high ground, no power-ups, no blocks to hit them from underneath, just them serving as a killer roadblock. Sure, you could just take the hit and run, but chances are, you won't find another power-up for a few levels. Or, you could find another Hammer Bro waiting for you right up ahead. It's so hard to jump on these assholes that I often look for alternate routes via warp pipes, or just try to run before they start barfing out their hammers. It doesn't really help that in World 7, these guys appear in the first level! What if you took a hit fighting Bowser in the previous castle? Well, you better hope you have plenty of extra lives saved up because they'll certainly come in handy. What am I forgetting? Oh right, the castles! In level 4 of each world, you'll go through a castle with varying degrees of copy-paste level layouts, all with lava pits, fire bars, and fire in general, all culminating with a battle with Bowser at the end. There's two ways to beat him. Keep a fire flower with you and burn his ass to a crisp, or you could either jump over him and run under him to grab the axe that's at the end of the bridge, which you use to break, sending him for a lava swim. If you opt for the Fire Flower approach, you learn that every Bowser you fight isn't actually the real thing, as they'll turn back to their true self upon being beaten. But after beating 7 fake Bowsers and storming all the way to his real castle in World 8-4, you gotta make your way through a maze. World 8 in general is the hardest world, sporting the longest levels in the game, with no checkpoints. You die once, you're sent all the way back to the end of the level. Hardly any coins, hardly any power-ups, just you and the enemies. When you make it to the castle and navigate that maze, there's only one thing stopping you from saving the princess. That being this bitch-ass Hammer Bro. Who in their right mind thought to put him here? He's in such a tight space too. One wrong move, miscalculate your jump, and boom, you land right into a pit of lava. The best strategy is to kill him with a Fire Flower, but you gotta be a real super player to keep one this far. Alternatively, you could just rush him and make the jump before he even gets a chance to throw a hammer. I find that works best for when you get here Small Mario. The final Bowser here isn't even that much different to the 7 fakes you fought before him. He throws hammers and shoots fire, and occasionally jumps. But upon beating him, you finally save the captured Princess Toadstool, and the day is saved. From this point on, you can beat the game again in hard mode, where the Goombas are replaced with Buzzy Beetles, another tough underground enemy, and the rest of the enemies are just much faster. Nothing really worth replaying, unless you want just a bit more of a challenge.
Well, this is it. This is the game that started a whole legacy and made bank for Nintendo. The game itself? It's very basic and easy to grasp.
The side-scrolling gameplay makes for interesting level designs. Snagging 1-up mushrooms and finding bonus areas filled to the brim with coins leads to exploration and replayability. And of course, another revolutionary feature, the world skip. At the end and in the middle of levels 1-2 and 4-2, you can find a secret area that lets you skip ahead to future worlds. And if I'm being honest here, this is how I play every time I go back to the game. I haven't played every single level in years, and aside from doing it for this video, I can see why. Things get really samey after a short while, and even degrees of unfair, what with bad enemy placement, annoying enemies at that, and again, lack of power-ups. Can you honestly say you've played level 2-1 in Super Mario Bros. On NES recently? When do you think is the last time someone went through and played through the whole game? Beating the game itself isn't even a challenge, with most speedruns of the game clocking in at 3 or 4 minutes.
So what else can I say other than the game is basic? Well, I think that if it wasn't as basic as it is, it might not have caught on as wildfire as much as it did. I feel like if this game was just a bit too much more complex, it really wouldn't have kickstarted gaming as it did. Because it was so simple and easy to pick up and play, dozens of people bought it, it exploded, and well, you know the rest. Without it, I don't think we would have the Nintendo we have today. Would you want to live in a world without all this? I certainly wouldn't.
Before I wrap this up, I want to take a quick look at Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, an enhanced port of the game released for the Game Boy Color complete with added features. The game is now sporting a world map, a slightly more involved plot, the ability to switch between Mario and Luigi at any time, and even minigames, such as You vs. Boo, a mode where you race against a computer-controlled Boo to the end of the level. Challenge mode, where you search every level finding red coins and Yoshi eggs, and even a save feature. There's a calendar, unlockable medals for beating certain challenges, a photo gallery with really pleasant art, multiplayer, and a fortune-telling minigame, which can boost your life count. You can even unlock a modified version of the Lost Levels, dubbed Super Mario for Super Players. The only downside of this enhanced port is the smaller screen size that comes with it being on the Game Boy Color. I really wish Nintendo would remaster this version of the game for all subsequent re-releases of the first game. It's the definitive way to play, the 8-bit version anyway, but the smaller screen size is just a gateway to all the other problems of the original that I mentioned.
Oh, okay, that's all the time I've got for this episode. Thanks again for tuning in to the first episode of the Mario Marathon, and thank you again for voting for the Mario Marathon. Next time we meet, we're going to be taking a look at Super Mario Bros. 2 USA on the NES. I hope you look forward to it. Stick around for more.